Welcome to Couple Reviews, where I put off reviewing Enchanted for too long. Disenchanted, the sequel to Enchanted, just dropped on Disney Plus, and I have no Enchanted video yet. So Enchanted, let me tell you about my journey of interpreting Enchanted. When I was a kid, I loved it. And then when I got a little bit older, I resented Enchanted because of this reason. I thought that Disney was doing too much of that shtick of making fun of their earlier films. It got so cynical and made me miss sincerity, if that makes sense. They made fun of the Disney princesses in Wreck-It Ralph 2 and Moana without really having much depth to it. So I resented Enchanted for being the start of that. But when I rewatched Enchanted recently, I realized that Enchanted had a lot of intelligent things to say with the vintage Disney princess isms, and it wasn't just doing it to poke fun at the vintage Disney princesses, and it wasn't just trying to do the in-jokes and call it a day. Enchanted is a lot deeper than I gave it credit for when I was young. On one hand, it tells you that the princess films aren't going to prepare you for the harsh realities of a lot of stuff that adults deal with. But on the other hand, it also goes to show that a lot of people have gotten too cynical and need some of that Disney princess happiness and innocence and optimism in their lives. Giselle needs to learn to grow up.
You know, most normal people get to know each other before they get married. They date.
Date?
Yeah, you know, date. You go someplace special, you know, like a restaurant, or a movie or museum, or you just hang out and you talk.
Well, Robert needs to learn to be more optimistic and romantic.
Well,
not if she knows.
Knows what?
How much you really love her.
Of course she does. I mean, we just don't talk about it every minute of the day, but she knows.
How?
What do you mean, how?
How does she know you love her?
Oh, no.
And Robert's job was like, he was a divorce lawyer, which is such a contrast to the Disney princess who gets married and lives happily ever after. But, of course, his clients benefited from meeting Giselle. Giselle finds out that this other couple is getting divorced and she thinks that's so sad.
You are very lucky. I mean, just look at the way her eyes sparkle. It's no wonder you're in love.
They're not together anymore.
I don't understand.
They're getting a divorce.
It's so sad. They're married one day and the next they're not. What sort of awful place is this?
And that one spark was enough to get them to realize that it is sad that they get a divorce and they work out their problems. That couple even said that all marriages have their problems, but it's worth it to work through them or something like that.
You guys had problems.
Everybody has problems. Everybody has bad times. Do we sacrifice all of the good times because of them?
So Robert and Giselle both needed to learn from each other. At first glance, Robert might not seem like the most desirable guy to a Disney princess, but he teaches her a lot about life and harsh realities, and that's why she's so interested in him. And at the same time, he grows to be so caring for Giselle. And meanwhile, Giselle is being the perfect candidate for stepmother to his daughter. So that stuff was great, but I always contend that all love triangles are bad, and this movie has a love square in it. Let's talk a bit about that. Nancy is dating Robert at the beginning of the film, and she...
Nancy?
Oh, hello. Who is this?
This is nothing. This is nothing. This is nothing. This is nothing.
I'm just trying to help her, honestly. Nothing's...
You know what? If you say nothing happened, nothing happened. I trust you.
This is nothing.
I'm not sure I like that. And it just inherently is going to cause problems. Stuff like this is just inherently going to cause problems for the story and the characters. For example, Nancy tries to be a cool candidate for stepmother to Robert's daughter, Morgan, and Morgan just sticks her nose up at Nancy for no good reason.
Hey, girlfriend.
Hi, Nancy.
What do you say? You ready to kick it?
Kick what?
Honey.
The idea is that Nancy isn't right to be Morgan's stepmother, but the question is, why not? She seems like she's trying pretty hard. Things are slightly less painful with Prince Edward. He's the stereotypical Disney prince kind of guy. Well, he's supposed to be like a vintage Disney prince, but unlike vintage Disney princes, Prince Edward takes prisoners.
Look out below!
A vintage Disney prince would never take prisoners.
Let me go!
Very poor choice of words.
Thou sword of truth, fly swift and sure, that evil die and good endure.
At the beginning of the film, Prince Edward and Giselle meet each other and instantly decide that they're gonna get married.
Oh my gosh. It's you,
Yes, it's me. And you are?
Giselle.
Oh, Giselle! We shall be married in the morning.
Parodying Disney princess relationships, it goes further than that to say you can't marry a guy you just met, which I feel like that message hit people harder in Frozen, probably because in Enchanted, Prince Edward and Giselle get engaged too fast, but it ends with them just peacefully departing from each other. Prince Edward wasn't a scumbag. He was just set up to have these romanticized concepts of you meet someone, instantly fall in love, and instantly get married. He was just duped into that, same as Giselle. In Frozen, it could be that people took it more seriously because Anna got engaged to a guy who tried to kill her. That's like the extreme danger to it. With Enchanted, that's sort of like the best case scenario of even if he's a really nice guy, you two still might not be right for each other if you just met and you get engaged like that. Prince Edward was kept away from other women because his step-MILF didn't want him to usurp the throne. Normally, I hate love triangle third wheels or love square fourth wheels. Prince Edward is always trying to rescue the girl, and even when he discovers that he's not Giselle's true love, he wants Robert to kiss her just because he wants Giselle to be okay.
Couldn't be me. Don't you see?
I barely know her. I've only known her for a few days.
It has to be.
Kiss her, Robert. It's okay.
I knew it was you.
In Nancy's case, it was a little bit weird for her to instantly accept that Robert's gonna be with Giselle since they had been dating for longer and they had actually known each other a lot better. At the end, Prince Edward and Nancy get together, which the movie set up the fact that they're better for each other. Not only did they have that line of Nancy liking the way Prince Edward compliments his women.
And this beautiful lady is Giselle, the love of my life, my heart's true desire.
Wow.
Is something wrong?
Oh, just the way you said that. So straightforward. Not a hint of irony. It's very romantic.
Well, thank you.
They also had Giselle have the idea of sending these birds in a basket or something to Nancy, which she found so romantic, which that was like a romanticized Disney prince or princess-ish thing to do that Giselle came up with, which is something that Prince Edward would probably do. So they set up that Nancy wants someone more like a Disney prince. And they get together really fast, which arguably it kind of goes against the message, but I guess you can headcanon the idea that they were actually dating for a while before the marriage, and it just, the way they edited the ending, it just looks like they got married instantly.
Why so sad, beautiful lady?
Whoa! Disney princess-isms work in Enchanted far better than they work in other films that try to parody the vintage Disney princesses. So that part of the romance is great. The love square stuff is a bit rough. I'm doing an extra recording bit because there was a few things that I forgot to talk about in Enchanted. Nathaniel starts out with a huge crush on Step MILF, which he eventually realizes is one-sided, and she's just using him via his feelings for her, and she's not actually interested in him at all. And he's been doing everything for her, and she's been doing nothing for him this entire time. And he realizes that he hasn't been loving himself, so how can he expect someone else to love him?
How could I love a man who doesn't even like himself? Get away from me, Jerry. You disgust me.
Sire, do you like yourself?
What's not to like?
And part of him having self-love is having self-respect, so he eventually respects himself enough to realize that Step-MILF hasn't been treating him correctly, and he stands up to her and he helps defeat her at the end. Well, he helps save Gisela at the end.
Oh, well, she fainted, but
No,
she'll be
she
fine.
didn't. She poisoned her! With my help, I regret to say.
And according to the epilogue, he gets some girls after all. The second thing I forgot to talk about was near the end of the film, Step-MILF, looking like a hag, tells Giselle to take a bite of the apple by telling her that it will make it all be over, because she's seemingly destined to marry the guy she doesn't want to marry when she wants to marry Robert.
Just one bite, my love, and all this will go away.
You can kind of look at that a few different ways, but it's possible that what Giselle was thinking was, it could be that she knew that the hag was up to no good, so she decided to put Robert and Edward to the tests, if that makes sense. She figured that true love's kiss would be able to wake her from the sleeping death, so she decided to take the sleeping death voluntarily to see which one of them was her true love, which that is supported by her saying, "I knew it was you."
I knew it was you.
But additionally, you can also say that she was ready to die if neither of them was her true love, or she was just willing to die, period, perhaps? Because she would have had to have been pretty dumb to think that that apple had her best interests at heart, because that hag already pushed her down the well before to try to get rid of her. So you can look at this as either putting a lot of faith in Robert's ability to save her, or her just giving up and accepting death over her doomed existence of marrying not Robert. She doesn't really spell it out in detail, so there's room for interpretations on that. The third extra thing I want to talk about is, near the end, they bring up the role reversal of having Giselle save Robert from the dragon. I mean, they point out the role reversal, but really the movie has a role going both ways-ness, if that's a word, which it isn't. Minutes before Giselle climbed the tower to save him from the dragon, he woke her up with true love's kiss, saving her life, and they both catch each other when they're falling. So really, it's not like the girl gets to be the hero while the guy is just a damsel in distress. They both get to be both, which is mutually beneficial. So the girl and the guy both get to be heroes, and the girl and the guy both get to be treated as worth saving, which I like. So that's what we've learned from Enchanted in terms of romance. So look forward to my Disenchanted video. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, and just not marry a man you just met.